We're live now. Okay. You're live.
Okay. Do you want me to slide over? Just you slide over? I just do the angle for the interview. I don't like being straight on their face.
Right. Should be alright.
Wow.
I like shooting shadow side, but I also gotta get the background.
Everyone, just real quick, there's going to be a press conference coming up. This is doing a quick audio check. We had some audio issues. Apologies for that. We're trying to figure it out. There's a lot of interference. You can hear the announcement for the press conference. So we'll be live for it. Check it out.
Quick question. Do you have any earbuds? It goes back. Okay. And sorry, I was on the phone with Dan. Okay.
Wow, that's my way.
I'm just showing Andrew. Is it like? Oh, I'm trying to show him.
I have this.
I think that's what it was. Otherwise, we have to. He said it was like, oh, that's right. Sorry. I'm still trying to figure out audio stuff as the press conference. We'll see how it.
I don't want to have to pull that. It's going to be better if we can.
Well, you wouldn't have, I was just going to put this on there. But, yeah, it's always I don't know how to like.
The plate can likely attach here, and then we can just connect them.
Back up the same way I thought about it.
It's been like
Friday. I'll figure it out. I can. No, come here.
Oh, God.
I went to the song. Good morning. How are you?
Oh, okay. Can we do the red carpet? Oh, sounds like you're sacrificing yourself for the documentary. Take a nice photo, man.
They even mount the camera directly.
Well, that
Just mount the camera. We don't have time to do this.
You're doing great, Nolan. Love you.
Okay. That's cool.
I mean, if we're going to want to hook this back up, we can just do that.
Yeah, that's what I suggested at first. We could just put that on the floor.
So how can you afford the liabilities as far as the streaming? What kind of rate?
Well, we're live right now. We said.
Now, when you have these but for the work we do, we're going to find out how it's just,
Alright, we're about to get started.
Are you speaking first?
Yes, I am. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you guys for coming out. We appreciate you making it here on such short notice, but we thought that it was important for us to not only amplify the wonderful children's march that happened here today, the community in East Atlanta, this community where they are proposing to build Cop City came out this morning overwhelmingly to say that they don't want Cop City. So we had parents, we had children, we had other neighbors and community stakeholders who gathered right here in Brownwood Park today in East Atlanta to say that we are East Atlanta and Cop City is not a part of what we imagine and envision for this community. Also this morning, unfortunately, there is a place that was held as a commune for campers who wanted to stand in solidarity during this week of action. The place is called LEAF, L-E-A-F. That is the Lakewood Environmental Arts Foundation, a nonprofit organization that's dedicated to combating food insecurity here within the city of Atlanta, offered up their space to be used for people who did not feel safe camping in the forest because of the over aggression of police there, but people wanted to show that they were in community with us, that they are in sync and in community with the land, and they wanted to stand in solidarity with this week of action. So we've offered up their space for those people to camp safely. Unfortunately, this morning, a gang of police officers descended upon that sacred space. They claimed that they had a warrant, which was never produced. They went inside, they took pictures of people, they ID'd people. There was one arrest made because one person in attendance had an outstanding parking ticket in Cherokee County. So, before the police come out and say, we raided this place where all of these outside aggressors were, and we picked up some violent offenders, we want you to know that our brothers and sisters who are standing with us in solidarity, just saying, hey, we want to camp here since we don't feel safe camping in the People's Park that's been overrun with police repression and aggression. They raided that place. They snatched people up. Some people were sleeping. They took pictures of people. They took their IDs, and they searched and searched, found nothing else, never produced a warrant, and only one person was arrested because of an outstanding parking ticket. Atlanta, this has got to stop. Somebody has got to stand up against these police agencies who are overly aggressive toward our community. On Thursday night, we held a very peaceful and successful march in downtown Atlanta, starting at the King Center. And Thursday night, we had a reporter who was harassed by the police. We had someone who was stopped by the police and asked if he was picking up protesters, taken out of the vehicle, handcuffed for no reason. They couldn't find a reason to detain him any longer, so they had to let him go. But Atlanta, this is why we're standing against Cop City. Because if Cop City is built, you can guarantee that you won't even be able to go to the grocery store without being harassed by the police for no reason at all. There is no reason why people who were at a safe commune, simply camping out, doing nothing else but being in community together, honoring the land that gives us so much, no reason that they should have been displaced the way they were this morning. This is why we don't want Cop City. Cop City is a symbol of police repression. Cop City is a symbol of the oppression of the people of Atlanta. I want you to look around and see the families here in this park today. These are people who came because they're concerned for their children. These are people who are concerned because they don't want their city overrun by militarization. There are many environmental issues that are tied to the building of Cop City, and all of it ties back to the fact that right now Atlantans are being targeted simply because they disagree with the administration. This reminds me of President Trump, who decided he was going to go after everybody who stood against him. Right now, Mayor Andre Dickens and the city of Atlanta have chosen to target every community that will not stand for Cop City. But if you are going to continue to target us, Mayor Dickens, we are going to continue to stand. We are going to continue to march. We are going to continue to show up at your council meetings. We are going to continue to let people know that Cop City is not what we want here in East Atlanta, but we don't want it anywhere because nobody deserves to have to live in fear. Nobody should have to worry about if their children are walking home from school, if they're going to be followed by police. Nobody should have to worry that simply being in community with their neighbors is a dangerous act because they're going to be targeted and harassed by police officers. Right now, I want to call up my indigenous relative,
Tell us your name.
Jordan. My name is Reverend Kiana Jones, Keyannajones. And I want to...
Canada, do you know how many people were arrested?
I'm sorry. Once again, there was only one person arrested this morning. One person had an outstanding parking ticket. And that's the only person who was arrested.
How many people occupied this space this morning?
I'm not quite sure exactly how many people occupied the space, but there were no more than 50 people in the space. Again, one arrest. Only one. Everybody was ID'd. Everybody was photographed by police. Only one person arrested for a parking ticket. no violent offenses.
What did they tell you at the time of the raid? Did they tell anybody or you, what was the explanation for why they were there?
From reports on the ground, the police claimed that they had a warrant, but there was never a warrant produced.
A warrant for the building?
For that property to be searched.
I heard from one protester, I'm just wondering if you can confirm, one person who was there said that they had about 20 guns pointed in their face.
Yes.
Tell us about
Yes, reports on the ground did say, and this is from people who are directly there, those people who were detained, that when the police came in, there were no less than 20 guns being pointed at them. And again, this is for people who were simply camping out, doing nothing else.
Is there anybody who has any video of that happening, any cell phone video of that?
We are not sure who has cell phone video right now. I do know that there was a request for some legal observers at the time. Not sure what those legal observers have on video, but I do know that the request was made because one thing that we are very careful about is interacting with police without a record of that. So we always try to call for legal observers whenever police presence comes about.
What time did this raid happen?
Oh, this was this morning. This was before 9 a.m. this morning.
And one last question. Can you tell us how long was this safe haven there before they took the raid?
So Leaf was already there, but they were amplifying their mission this week for the week of action. So since people began to descend upon the city of Atlanta this past Saturday for the week of action, Leaf was definitely there as a safe haven for those who wanted to camp but didn't feel safe in the forest.
And obviously they don't feel safe in the...
Yeah, at this point I don't know if they feel safe anywhere, but I do want you to hear from my sister Jordan, who will come and speak to you now.
Thank you.
Always call on Creator before I speak on behalf of my people.
The mic is on.
Well, that's not really a speaker. It's more of a mic for me. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm being selfish.
Yeah, I always call on Creator before I speak on behalf of my people. Thank you to Reverend Kiana for providing the people with the information about the raid this morning. I just wanted to express my request to DeKalb County, the city police, the sheriff's office, as well as Homeland Security and the FBI, because we know you all are here as well, to please stop using violence and using force against the forest defenders here. I wanted to make a request to release all forest defenders who have been arrested, including the person detained this morning in the violent raid against peaceful campers, and drop all of the ridiculous felony charges that have been made on forest defenders for completely irrelevant actions that don't have anything to do with the charges that are being made against them. I also want to express that the type of violence that we're seeing coming from the state is the same type of violence used as genocide against indigenous people here in Georgia, the same violence used against enslaved peoples here in Georgia. And I need people to understand that the descendants of those people are still here. That I was called here. I came from the Muskogee Creek Nation Reservation in Indian Territory, Oklahoma. 7 generations ago, in 1832, my people were forcibly removed from this land, walked the Trail of Tears all the way to Oklahoma. And now, because of the continued violence that the same entities continue to have over this land, a spiritual awakening has happened that has called our people back to this land. The community has called out to us, defending themselves, saying we need the people of this land to come help us. And that's why we're here. And that in 1832, the state of Georgia thought they got rid of their Indian problem for good. But now we're still here and the Indian problem is back. And and I will always be a problem for police violence. I will always be a problem for state oppression, and I will always be in solidarity with the communities who are here defending themselves and defending my ancestors who have seen enough violence already, and they deserve to be in peace here. And we deserve to come here and have a safe place to have ceremony and have community. And the Black residents here deserve a safe space for those things too. And it's not just about the Weelaunee Forest. The environmental devastation that they're willing to undertake for this is kind of unbelievable. But just know that, like, the forest is everywhere. We're here in the city, we're surrounded by trees, the people are everywhere, the people are of the forest. No Cop City in the forest, no Cop City in Muskogee homelands, no Cop City anywhere.
Was there anybody here right now?
So I'm not aware of somebody who was actually in the raid who's here. I think there's some media persons who arrived to cover what was going on. I'm not sure about someone who was in the raid here.
Can we kind of ask them to kind of give us a testimony about what they experienced?
Yeah, so...
is there... kind of... He will be.
Yes.
They'll give it a personal, one-on-one
Right.
account.
Yeah, so like from the accounts that we're hearing from folks on the ground, some of our comrades on the ground over there, that it was a very disorienting, scary experience, that they had been hearing the police intimidating them with choppers at night, and I could hear those choppers last night as well, wondering kind of with dread what they were going to do. I think that they chose this morning on purpose because they knew that the little children would be gathering here in a peaceful way. They know that the mayor has already refused to speak to children in schools about the Weelaunee Forest. So they took this opportunity to take the attention away from the children in the youth rally to try to target these medics who are here to help and heal people. The experience that, from what we're hearing, was that it was very disorienting. All of a sudden they were sleeping, and then they heard announcements to get out immediately. People came out with their hands up, facing rifles in their face, not knowing what was going on. The police were not telling them why they were there. Many people asked for a warrant, which has not been provided yet. And they were not provided with a police press liaison either, even though they asked many times for a police press liaison in order to tell them what was going on.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Marlon Couts. I'm an organizer with the Atlanta Solidarity Fund. We're a civil liberties and anti-repression organization that exists to make sure that people who participate in social movements have the right to protest and don't suffer from repression. So the reason I'm here is because, as we've all heard previously, there was an incident of political repression early this morning. Police executed a search warrant and performed a raid against the Lakewood Environmental Arts Foundation, which is a community space in Lakewood, Atlanta, that exists primarily to serve artists and musicians. It's been a resource in the Atlanta community for many years, distributing food to the surrounding community and providing a space for art and musical expression. We don't have any information on exactly why the police targeted this space, but we think that from the circumstances surrounding it, it's clear that it was part of a political strategy to repress and intimidate protesters who are associated with the Stop Cop City movement, the movement to defend the forest. And this is very concerning, especially when taken in context. Of course, it's very likely that police are going to report that this was part of a routine investigation, a law enforcement matter that they had every right to conduct. We have no idea if this is true because nobody has been given access to the warrant that police are executing. The other thing that police are likely to claim is that they made an arrest on scene, and our understanding is that they did make an arrest due to somebody who was there having an old traffic ticket from a long time ago. So it's important to clarify that the arrest was because of a traffic ticket, not because of any alleged crimes related to the movement or any other serious criminal activity. The reason that we understand this as part of a campaign of repression is the context. So it's important that we understand this raid as part of a series of ongoing abuses of the legal process to harass and intimidate political protesters. Our organization has gotten many reports of pretext stops of political protesters or people who are suspected of being political protesters because of bumper stickers on their car or the state that their license plate is from. We've gotten reports of people being stop and frisked simply because they're profiled as looking like political activists. And of course, we've seen dozens of protesters or suspected protesters arrested and charged with domestic terrorism simply because they were found at a music festival that's associated with the Stop Cop City movement. And so we can see that every step of the way, police and prosecutors are abusing the legal process to intimidate and discourage this movement. They have no evidence to support their claims that that these people are involved in criminal activity. They were unable to demonstrate any criminal activity during their raid on the Lakewood Environmental Arts Foundation, but they're continuing to abuse every justification that they can to raid spaces, to make arrests, and to hold people in jail. As we're speaking now, there are 22 people who were arrested and accused of domestic terrorism who have been held without bail and are currently in jail. No evidence has been presented to support any of these claims of domestic terrorism, including on the other 18 people who've been given this charge previously in this movement. Our organization and the lawyers who work to support these activists look forward eagerly to any opportunity to discuss the facts of these matters in court, because we know that police and prosecutors have no evidence to support their claims. And in fact, they are actively avoiding appearing in court, indicting anybody, or taking any legal action which would require them to justify their claims. So we can understand that this is an abuse of the legal process. Police and prosecutors are not involved in a law enforcement effort. They're involved in a political campaign to suppress a political movement which they find objectionable because, as the police, they have a vested interest in the construction of Cop City. From a civil liberties perspective, we find this very concerning. We find it to be an abuse of power, and we're committed to ensuring that all of the activists who are targeted have access to the legal resources that they need, not only to defend themselves from these bogus charges, but also to pursue civil litigation against police who have abused their power and violated people's rights.
Do you know how many people total have been charged with domestic terrorism?
So previously there were 18 and an additional 23 as of last Sunday. So that's the total.
Do you know what severity of the punishment for someone who's been found guilty of that, of domestic terror? We hear that word a lot, but what is the severity of it?
My understanding is that the punishment is up to 30 years in prison. But again, these charges are being levied against activists not because prosecutors expect to be able to convict these people. It's a preposterous charge. There's no way that any of these people have done anything which rises to the level of what the statute describes as domestic terrorism. It's used purely as an intimidation tactic to discourage people, to make people afraid to associate with this movement, and to keep people who are involved in the movement locked away for long enough that this project can go forward without any dispute.
Are those being charged? Are they using RICO charges as well?
As far as we know, no RICO indictments have happened. We are concerned about the possibility that prosecutors may try to use RICO charges against organizers, because RICO is understood as a way of suppressing organizations. And the narrative that we've seen coming from police and prosecutors is their belief that the broad and diverse Stop Cop City movement is in fact a criminal conspiracy whose members conspire to commit acts of terrorism. This could not be further from the truth. This is like a clear misrepresentation of a broad movement that encompasses all of society. But this is the narrative that prosecutors are trying to promulgate to make it easier to target activists.
How many people are still in jail?
There are 4 people from previous domestic terrorism charges who have been held without bail since January. And there's 22 additional ones who have been put in since Sunday. All of these people, the state will be able to hold them indefinitely, despite having presented no evidence, given these people and their attorneys no chance to defend themselves against these ridiculous charges. We are working hard to try to get them an additional bail hearing to demand that courts address these charges in some way, and we won't stop until that happens.
Can you say this by your name? It's super easy.
Sure. My name is Marlon Kautz, Marlon Kautz, and I'm an organizer with the Atlanta Solidarity Fund.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yep.
Peace, everybody. My name is Kamal Franklin, K-A-M-A-U, last name Franklin, F-R-A-N-K-L-I-N. The organization I'm representing is Community Movement Builders. So I'd like to say quickly, this movement has been repressed by the state, by the city, since its very beginnings. When we first started organizing in 2021, when we had rallies and demonstrations, which were supposed to be lawful rallies, under the Constitution, they were supposed to be protected rallies. We would have police break them up, throw people to the ground, pepper spray them, and arrest them. We had over 20 arrests in our first years of rallying and demonstrating against Cop City. At the time, those folks were charged with resisting arrest, obstruction of governmental administration. And then the police decided to step up their tactics. And they started to form a task force that included the Atlanta Police, the DeKalb County Police, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, Georgia State Troopers, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and Homeland Security, where they began to talk about bringing charges of domestic terrorism against organizers and activists. And they held true to their word. So in December, they raided the forest and arrested approximately 6 activists and organizers, forest defenders, who were doing nothing more than being next to trees or sitting in tree huts. And those folks were charged with domestic terrorism. They had no evidence whatsoever to connect them to anything else, except an act of civil disobedience by being in the forest. They didn't have any evidence whatsoever to connect them to any prior acts. But what they did was charge them with domestic terrorism. And then they went back into the forest in January 18th. They arrested another 5 and 6 activists and organizers, forest defenders. And they charged those people with domestic terrorism. And as we know, they also killed a forest defender, Tortuguita, which evidence has now come out through an independent autopsy that their hands were up and that they were sitting cross-legged on the ground. And ever since then, they've continued in these tactics. As just mentioned, 35 new arrests, 22 of them domestic terrorism. And so now we're coming to a point where they're raiding houses, where they're telling organizers and activists that they can't stand on corners and legally give out leaflets without being given orders to disperse. Clearly First Amendment protected activity if the so-called Constitution is to be enforced and thought about as a real document. People have a right to protest, they have a right to express their anger, they have a right to say that they don't want Cop City to happen. They have the right to do that without being harassed and repressed and threatened and charged with crimes they did not commit. So we continue to stand in solidarity with everyone who's doing organizing and activism, not only here in Atlanta, but across the country, and at this stage across the globe, to fight to make sure that Cop City never happens. So we are here to stand with our comrades, our organizers, our fellow folks who are out here in the streets doing this work. We want to make sure that they are protected, and we want to make sure that the narrative that criminalizes protesters ends now. And that instead, we talk about the real criminals, which is the Atlanta Police Department, the mayor, the governor, and at this stage, the federal government, because they've been involved in the suppression and repression of this movement. Thank you very much for coming. Say it again? No Español.
I just want to tell them. All right, thanks. I guess that's it.
If I'm not mistaken, you're about...
One more speaker.
Okay.
Viva, viva Tortuguita! 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 Stop Cop City! 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 Drop the charges! Drop the charges! Drop the charges! Drop the charges!
Well, you know who I am.
Love you, Toy!
Love you, Belkis.
But tell us who you are, because you may not.
My name is Belkis Terán. I am the mother of Manuel Esteban Páez Terán, called Tortuguita, because this is the warrior name. So he was called like that. So I'm here because I'm looking for justice. Justice about my son's death. So it has been very hard, very difficult this 1.5 months. So everybody's asking me why I'm so strong. I'm strong because I know that Manuel was an untouchable person, was caring, supporting, loving person to this community and to our family. So, yes, I'm suffering a lot. But this suffering is given to me power to fight, power to stand. I don't accept that he was killed by so many bullets. He was like this. That's what they said. I am threatened for you. I am threatened for you. Are you scared of me if I am like this? So, what happened? What happened? We like to know. Nobody is receiving our lawyers. Nobody is doing this. Nobody from authorities. I don't know. I don't know how many police are, because there is 1,000 police. 4 different organizations, police organizations. I don't know, because I'm not from Atlanta. No, I'm not from Atlanta. Yes, I'm outside. But my son was killed here. My son was killed here, and I have to know what is going on. Do I have to stay in Panama? Sleeping? Continue sleeping? That's what people want, that I be there and continue watching my movies, my Netflix? what I was doing. I'm retired. Yeah. No. I need to know. It's my right. It's my right. I need to know as a mother what happened. I beg with all my heart to understand what is going on here in this forest. People are suffering. When I walk in Atlanta, around Atlanta City, in the night, bodies of people on the floor. That's nice for the people. Yeah, they want to build something big. But what about the people that is suffering? No food. My child was giving food to those people. In the night, he was going with a small cup to give it to people. I'm learning a lot of stories about them. I'm learning all that he did in these 6 months, 7 months that he was here, because before he was in Tallahassee. He was living in Tallahassee, helping their, feeding their people. Before that, he was in Panama, cleaning beaches, feeding people too, bringing people to my house. And I already say to my friends that he was nice. I have a lot of stories about that. We found somebody and then he was bringing home. Mom, we need a shelter for a week. I said, okay. But for a day. And the person, a week. Okay, no problem. Another person. Mom, this person needs a week to be in our house. Okay, then. A week. 1.5 months. And he was sharing his room, his clothes, his food. We never charge anybody to be in our house. So, really? He was a terrorist? He deserved this death? No. I cannot understand. Somebody said to me, yeah, you have to be quiet, relax, wait. But I cannot do that. I have to find out what's going on. And now I find out that people here is in the jail without any really good reason. And the people that he was feeding, nobody cares. I was in the forest one day. Everybody sitting, very nice, welcoming me. And then a man came. And he was standing there, saying nothing. For half an hour or 40 minutes, nobody went to him. I don't blame anybody. Don't make me wrong. I don't blame. But if Manuel was there, he was going to that man and asking, what do you need? And he was going for him shelter. And he was going to give food. Because I know that he was doing that. So, I don't say that the other people is not good. All of them, very nice, cute people, loving. They are giving me so much love and strength. But initiative. Manuel has initiative to look for people. Initiative. Oh, somebody analyzing. Last night I was talking to one beautiful girl. I say girl because it's like a girl for me. And she was, when I met him, we connect. And she said, "Are you Latin?" "Yes, I'm Latin." Then immediately, he was looking around like this, looking all the faces, all the time, and looking for somebody that didn't get the attention. Then he was a terrorist. He deserved his death. Somebody answered to me. Somebody answered to me. Any question?
Mira, accompany a comprar de televisión Telemundo. So, entonces, dame la historia en español, por favor.
Ah,
sí.
En español.
Sí.
Perfecto.
Habla.
Ese es mi lenguaje. Sí, I feel like strange speaking in English. I know that everybody understands.
Sí, solamente español, por favor.
Pero, sí. Bueno, a ver, rewind. Yo soy Belkis Terán, soy la mamá de Manuel Esteban Páez Terán, llamado Tortuguita. Tortuguita dice warrior name, es de guerrero. Guerrero, significa guerrero. Él estaba sentado con sus piernas cruzadas en el bosque, él dormía en el bosque. De vez en cuando, no siempre, él dormía de vez en cuando en el bosque y fue asesinado. Y yo quiero saber qué pasó, Él estaba sentado según los reportes, un reportico chiquitico que nosotros tuvimos de su autopsia, porque eso es algo muy chiquitico. Nos dicen que estaba con las piernas cruzadas y los brazos levantados. ¿Qué pasó? ¿Quieren que yo me quede allá en Panamá, en mi casa, que estoy retirada, continuando viendo Netflix? ¿Quedarme allá tranquila? Ay, sí, mi hijo murió, pobrecito, ya. No, yo tengo que saber qué pasó. Que alguien me diga qué pasó. Nadie me lo ha dicho, no han tenido la decencia. Eso se llama decencia. Decirme, en español puedo explicarme mucho. Decencia. ¿Cómo es posible que no me hayan dicho nada? Que lo que hemos averiguado es extraoficial. Que no valemos nosotros porque somos de afuera. No valgo nada yo. Mi vida no vale nada porque soy extranjera. Eso es lo que pasa. Porque yo no soy, porque soy visitante, no valgo nada. Entonces mi vida no vale nada. Nadie le importa que mi hijo murió asesinado. Homicidio, dice el papel que me entregaron. Homicidio, asesinado. Y nadie dice nada. Encubrimiento. ¿Por qué? ¿No son tan valientes? ¿No son tan correctos? ¿Quién es el correcto aquí? ¿Ah? Lo correcto, sí, en español tenemos lo grande para ellos, lo chiquito para uno, como el embudo, la ley del embudo. Lo grande para ellos, lo chiquito para uno. Entonces uno sí tiene que decirlo, señor, sí, no pongas la mano aquí porque tienes que poner las manos, no, aquí tampoco, así, porque si no te pueden arrestar. ¿Qué es eso? Entonces, si ellos vienen y te hacen así, sí, uno tiene que quedarse tranquilo. Y mi hijo estaba así. Eso es lo que dicen, pero no hay cámaras, no hay videos, no hay nada. ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué no hay? Por algo será. Porque bastantes videos hay de todo lo que pasa. Y yo quiero saber qué pasó. porque mi hijo era un hombre noble, honesto, sincero, caring person, ¿cómo es? Cuidaba a la gente. Entonces, díganme, ¿qué pasó? ¿Hasta cuándo el silencio, el secreteo y la complicidad? Es lo que yo pienso, complicidad, porque no se puede decir. Secreto sumarial. Ay, entonces mi sentimiento, mi dolor, a la basura. No importa. ¿Ah? No tienen un poquito de consideración con uno, como madre, y con todas las madres que les pasan esas cosas. Mire, eso ha pasado en otros países, en Argentina, en Colombia, y ahora va a pasar aquí también. ¿Ah? En Venezuela, mi país. Si tú no puedes reclamar nada. Ah, entonces ellos quieren que no reclamemos, no podemos reclamar. No, y este no es el país de la libertad. Este no es el país de la libertad. Este no es el país de la libertad. Díganme ustedes. Eso no es el país de la libertad.
No es.
No lo es. Aquí todo el mundo es preso. No es el país de la libertad. Entonces yo quiero que hagan honor a su bandera de libertad, de derechos humanos, y me expliquen. Hagan honor a lo que tanto hablan. Honor a la verdad, honor a su bandera de libertad, de país para todos. Pero está pasando igual que en Argentina, igual que en Colombia, igual que en Venezuela. Yo me siento peor que en Venezuela, porque por lo menos en Venezuela yo tengo contactos. Y si a mí me llegan a meter presa en Venezuela, en 10 minutos estoy afuera. Porque el tío de mi tío, o el primo de mi hermano de mi tío, me saca. Pero aquí, si a mí me meten presa aquí, ¿me van a sacar? ¿Quién me va a sacar? Entonces está peores. ¿Qué más puedo decir en español?
Sí, también, gracias. ¿Cuántas personas en la familia?
¿Cómo?
¿Cuántas personas en la familia? ¿Hijo, hija?
Tengo 3 hijos.
Sí, ¿y el país es Panamá o Argentina?
No, yo soy venezolana, de Maracaibo.
Ok, gracias.
Soy venezolana. Meterse con los venezolanos es un problema, ¿no?
Gracias.
Soy de Maracaibo, pero vivo en Panamá, porque en mi país no hay trabajo, etcétera. Muchos saben la historia de Venezuela. Entonces, estoy en Panamá.
Gracias.
Señora, pensó usted que era una mentira lo que dijeron en Georgia Bureau of Investigation, que su hijo tenía una arma, que lo usó contra la policía. ¿Es una mentira o es una verdad?
Hay una cosa que no te puedo contestar. Yo no sé si es mentira o si es verdad. Porque si te digo que es mentira, me van a meter presa. Pero si te digo que es verdad, el preso es él. Entonces, no sé. Queremos saber. Lo que sí sé es que sus manos estaban levantadas. Yo no sabía de que él tenía armas. En mi familia eso no existe. Nosotros somos una familia evangélica, protestante. Mi papá era pastor evangélico. Y nosotros no somos violentos. Somos personas que hemos vivido muy bien. Mi familia y mi hijo era un hijo. A mí me han dicho que no lo diga, pero no me importa. Mi hijo era un muchacho privilegiado. ¿Por qué? Porque él tenía su graduado de la Universidad de Florida State University. Yo no debo ni un medio a Florida State University. Él está graduado sin, ¿cómo se llama esto? Sin deudas. Él podía viajar y vivir donde él quisiera. Y él decidió por amor a unos árboles, a unas personas, estar Él vivió en muchos países. Dubái estuvo, que no le gustaba Dubái por la cuestión de la cuestión política. Porque mi hijo siempre fue desde pequeño crítico. Pero no te puedo contestar esa pregunta. No te la puedo contestar. Yo no soy el juez y de hecho ni me interesa contestar esa pregunta. Porque eso es trabajo de ellos, del abogado. Para eso se consiguió un abogado. Pregúntale a mi abogado. Mi abogado va a responder esas cosas porque yo estoy tratando de no saber, ni siquiera había visto los videos de los shootings. No, yo no veo nada de eso. ¿Para qué? ¿Para enfermar mi mente? No, yo estoy concentrada en sanidad, sanar, estar fuerte, estar para los que aman a mi hijo. Porque hay muchos que todavía los abrazo y se ponen a llorar. Ustedes no saben el dolor que hay en la comunidad de Weelaunee. Hay un dolor muy grande. Muy grande. Y yo no tenía ni idea de esas cosas. La comunidad de Florida State University y de Tallahassee también. Yo voy para allá pronto a hablar con ellos, estar con ellos, abrazarlos, a darles masajes, atenderlos. Porque ellos son mis hijos ahora. Ellos son mis hijos ahora. Yo perdí uno, gané miles de hijos. Miles de hijos a quien voy a querer y cuidar y mi casa está abierta, donde quiera que ellos estén, ahí van a poder llegar, porque voy a ser su mamá. Entonces, mira, hay preguntas que yo no voy a contestar, no me interesa saber, de verdad, hay cosas que no quiero enfermar mi mente, porque yo no creo que es mi posición es sanar a mis niños, a mi comunidad, y sanarme yo, por supuesto. Otra pregunta.
Gracias. Gracias.
A la orden.
Gracias.
¡Viva Tortuguita! ¡Viva Tortuguita! ¡Viva Tortuguita! ¡Viva Tortuguita! ¡Viva Tortuguita! ¡Viva Tortuguita!
And that concludes the press conference for today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cool. Let's move to the corner and then we'll just do
Thank you so much for helping.
Oh, sure.
I really appreciate you.
Oh, no, thank you so much.
Alright, let's face it. Let's give me 1 second here. I'm going to try to collect my thoughts. There was this press conference. We had a bunch of different speakers. I implore you to listen to it again if you missed it. Just to give you an idea of what our day was like today, we woke up really early. There was a raid of an encampment. We had majority of medics, from my understanding, to support the movement, the community. People were detained. One person was arrested, you heard here, on a parking ticket. It had nothing to do with the alleged search warrant that we never saw. We asked for a press liaison right away and never showed up. But we did ask. We identify ourselves as press, and we'd love to speak to somebody to hear your side of the story. What's going on? It didn't happen. From there, we came out to this children's march. There's a little march that went through, a bunch of children. Again, a lot of the narratives that's coming from the state is that this is like all outside agitators. Somehow every person has been shipping in their families according to the state. But obviously that's not true. We talked to a lot of Atlanteans who are from here, from this neighborhood. It's going to be affected by the destruction of this forest. The forest itself being destroyed is going to increase the flooding in Atlanta, we're hearing. It's going to increase the pollution in Atlanta. It won't be there cleaning the air. Families are very interested in making sure that they have clean air and don't have flooding when they live in this area, and are fighting to stop Cop City, to stop the destruction of the Weelaunee Forest. And we wanted to bring you out here. We're going to suggest again, follow the feeds that are local. Defend the Forest. There's the Atlanta Press Collective. Definitely follow them. They're giving a lot of good information. We're not going to be here forever. I think we might leave them in tomorrow. So let's really follow those folks. They're here on the ground. They're going to be here on the ground first. Support those folks as well. The Atlanta Press Collective particularly. And we'll just try to keep updating you as we can. Again, if you go through our feed, you'll see some press conferences, some conversations between Black and Indigenous communities here, and just trying to just show you the wide variety that the movement is and how thinly it's being painted by those who are trying to build Cop City. And as you can tell, this is what the people look like. A bunch of people, children, laughter, joy, what people want, but what they get was like this morning when they raided the police. The police did that raid. Police were woken up by guns. People were woken up by guns from their sleep, walked out, felt under threat. Obviously, a lot of emotional distress there. And then we just heard from Totoki's mother, who we spoke to, as well as the interview on the stream. You can go back to a few days ago. You can see on Twitter and Facebook. We just posted those videos. Definitely check those out to kind of see what's going on. But we're going to eat some food. We're going to take this down. Again, very thank you. Follow the NDN Collective. Just for general stuff, we're going to be live a lot of different places. If you go to the feeds, you'll see we've been live a bunch of places. And I'm Lorenzo Sedna, Director of Technical Media here. Weldon Grover has been on the camera all day, sending them some energy. Thank you. We have a team that's helping remotely. I'm still trying to figure out all the so a lot of people made this happen for you. So thanks for being here and watching it. We know there was audio issues. I'm going to hear about it from all of you, I'm sure, and from some other folks. We're going to do our best to figure it all out. But things got really fast this morning again, and that's how it happened. So it was live. It was rough. That's what it's like. Much love. Talk soon.